Hello and welcome to this episode of Natter with Niamh. Today I have the delightful Sharon Crabbe with me. Sharon is a coach. She also works with horses and does some coaching around horses as well. It seems from my conversations with Sharon that horses play a very big part in her life and have always done so. Welcome, Sharon.
Hello, it's good to be here.
And apart from horses, you said that one of your inspirations is Sydney Banks. Now, I'm not sure that most of my audience will have even heard of Sydney Banks. Can you tell us a little bit about who he is and why he inspired you?
Yes, gosh, that's quite a story, really. Sydney Banks. He was, he's unfortunately not alive anymore, and I never had I was never able to meet him in person. I have been to sit on his bench, though. He lived in Vancouver on Vancouver Island, so. But he is, he's known as, he was a Scottish welder, basically, who had a kind of epiphany about how life works. And I came across him through somebody else who was sharing his understanding and his teachings about 8 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically a way of, I suppose it's a field of psychology, really. It's a way of looking at how we work as human beings. And quite simply, it changed my life, really. Um, not overnight. In fact, it took a little while. Uh, and I didn't even understand what I was listening to. I found it almost impossible to articulate it and talk to people about it. But things changed. Nothing changed on the outside, but everything changed for me on the inside. And because of that, eventually I decided to uh, take a deeper dive into the understanding and train so that I could share what I'd learned um, and help other people.
So, obviously, I've done some work around Sydney Banks. I've not dived very deeply into him and his philosophies and everything. He works on something called the three principles, doesn't he?
Yes, yes, the three principles of mind, consciousness, and thought. And I'm not going to try and describe them because it's like trying to what is it? There's another mentor. It's like trying to point at fire with an ice cube, somebody said to me once. But it's really looking at how we work psychologically, how we experience life, and the principles of mind, consciousness, and thought are principles because they're true. But they are hard, I think, to talk about and describe because basically they're invisible. We're talking about the nature of thought and the
Yeah,
nature of consciousness and mind is really the intelligence of life. So we're talking about something that affects us all, but we're oblivious to it most of the time.
mm.
The best example I can give you of is and this is something we use quite often is it's like gravity. Like even if you don't understand it and you can't see it and you don't know it's there, we are all, you know, we are all being affected by gravity.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine there will be chaos if gravity suddenly stopped.
Yeah. And we
Yeah,
automatically know about it, you know. We
yeah,
somebody throws something, you automatically know how to go out and put your hands out to catch it. So it's part of the systems really of life, you know.
yeah. And our thoughts are in a way as well.
Yes. And I think, it makes me smile when I say I think, because when I first got into this understanding, which was a few years ago, I did a program, um, and I became very self-conscious about saying I think, because for a while, I tried to control my thoughts. I tried to not think, that
Yeah.
was, so I was, every time I said I think, I was like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that, which obviously didn't work. But that was just in the early days. That's just occurred to me now and made me smile. And but it was a huge revelation, this looking at these principles, and particularly in the beginning, the principle of thought, because I used to think a lot. I
Mm.
was quite an intense, and I was encouraged, like many of us are, to do that. My dad used to say to me, if I was struggling with a decision, or trying to figure something out, or I was going to do something that he didn't really approve of, and I did lots of those sorts of things. He would say, "Have you given it enough thought?" As if that was the answer to figure things out, that you had to kind of, wrestle with something. And he used to tell me as well that he was a born worrier, but he wore it like a badge of honor.
Oh yeah, my mother was the same. My mother used to say that she used to say she was worried if she had nothing to worry about.
Yeah, yeah. And he would, you know, if I didn't worry about something, it was almost like I either didn't care, or I wasn't taking it seriously. And, so I grew up thinking that that's what the mind was for. And
Worrying and overthinking and
overthinking and worrying, yeah. And so I guess one of the first things that kind of landed for me, or I started to see, was that I didn't have to believe everything I thought.
yep.
Yeah. Which was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the only way you start to see that, I think, for me, is is when you notice the thoughts that you don't take any notice of. That's a bit of a, but
Yes,
because,
because we have thousands of thoughts that come through every day, don't we?
yes,
And we
yes.
don't
And
engage with all of them.
we don't engage, we don't take action on them, fortunately, in my case. But I'd never really noticed that before. And when I started, I was like, oh, okay, okay. So yeah. And what happened for me personally, this is before I got into, teaching this and sharing this, is that I I got I'd been ill. So I'd been ill for
Mm,
quite a long time, nearly 2 years, chronically ill, and something that turned out to be quite serious in the end. And I was in and out of hospital. I had three operations, and the last one was I also had sepsis. So, it was not good.
mm.
And when I recovered physically, I came out of hospital and I was very low, very, sad and depressed, and thinking this is it, my life is over. And not over, but in that sense, but just
Yeah,
I'd lost my fitness, I'd put on weight, I hadn't ridden for ages with my horses. Um, and it, I was just like, is this it, kind of thing? And I stumbled across this program. It was 12 weeks. I followed the program, didn't really understand half of it, but I finished it. And before the end of it, I just got like found myself again. I was back, and I got fitter,
mm,
and I got another job, and I got back on the horses, and I went and did all sorts of crazy things. In fact, I did a charity bike ride across Costa Rica, went, and I
it-
signed up for it, and I didn't even have a bike. It was, which is kind of me,
yeah.
but I just found, I was just back. Um, and I forgot all about Sydney Banks and the three principles, totally. And then a little, it was probably 18 months, 2 years. And then I started to feel a bit low again, which was a recurring thing throughout my life,
Mm.
episodes of depression and anxiety, and sometimes quite serious. I was serious in that I was not really functioning.
Yeah.
And I felt that coming back. And I remember thinking, I must find that stuff I did, that program. And because that fixed me.
Yeah.
And something, I think the universe, you know, I think I got an email or something that came through from the lady who the course I'd done before that kind of nudged me as well. So I went back to it. I looked at it again. And yeah, and it was like the door was already, cracked open. And this time I really kind of pushed it open. And it was a different program and there were different people, and this time something else started to make a little bit more sense. I started to be able to talk about it. Um,
Mm.
and I just wanted more, really.
Yeah.
And then an opportunity came along to the three principals have a conference in London every year. And this was, I think, 20 or 20, must have been COVID time. Anyway, it was the first conference they did that was hybrid, and they had an
Mm.
online thing. And somehow I heard about they were looking for volunteers to host the breakout rooms. And I put my hand up. I'm not sure why, but I
Same
did.
reason you went to Costa Rica on a bike.
Yeah. So I ended up hosting breakout rooms for the Three Principles Conference in London, which really threw me into the community. Um, and that's when I decided to, to kind of formally train, um, and get a better understanding. And yeah, and the other thing I'll just add is as I got into it for the second time, the parallels with my horsemanship journey became so much more apparent as well. It felt like another piece of the jigsaw.
Yeah. And horses have been part of your life for a very long time. Yeah.
Very long time. Yeah. My mum was horse mad. She rode as a teenager, I think, but she was never allowed a horse. But I'm the firstborn, and apparently, because I vaguely remember these big white faces, and she used to take me in my pram down to a field where there were some grey horses, and they used to come and
Mm.
put their heads over the fence, and she'd feed them carrots, and they'd be breathing into me on top of me on the pram or something. So yeah, um, and that's just been I've had horses since I had my first pony, I think when I was about 8 or 9. So
So you've had, yeah. And so horses and the three principles are kind of your mainstays in life then.
yeah, I mean so the horse thing, there's a midway bit because the horses, I trained very traditionally in the horse world. I became a riding instructor and I worked abroad and I worked in all sorts of disciplines, very traditional horsemanship, the equestrian kind of industry. And
Mm.
then about 25 years ago, a horse came into my life that pointed me in a new direction. And by that I mean not traditional, in a much more natural way.
Yeah.
And that led me to a whole new horsemanship journey. And I went to America and studied with cowboys.
Okay, wow, that sounds fascinating.
It was, yeah. And it was a natural horsemanship. So, and I suppose that's where my interest in psychology came from. But not humans. It was very definitely learning about horse behavior and understanding horses.
Ah, okay. Because
So
horsemanship in this country does it,
yes,
it
well,
does
no,
what
it's
humans want to do, does it, rather
it's a
than
big thing,
horses?
but what that showed me, so my natural horsemanship journey, I went because I was crazy about horses and I wanted to make the world a better place for horses.
Mhm.
But I found out eventually, because it was quite a long journey, well, it's continuing, that in order to be good with horses, you had to become a much better human being. And it was much less about, training challenging horses to helping people understand horse behavior so that the challenges didn't arise. So that was the beginning of, I suppose it was the beginning of me getting interested in people, because before that I wasn't really.
So learning how to be a human around horses, in effect.
Yes, to be a better human being, to
Yeah,
to to be able to put yourself, it taught me how to, walk a mile in my horse's shoes, if you like. So look
yeah,
at the world from not just another person's perspective, but another species. And that led me to, and it actually led me into equine assisted therapy, which is something else I've done for quite a few years. So the kind of overlap got bigger, if you like, between
yeah,
helping horses and helping humans. Um, and then the trying to, because it's such a story, because I was ill, my horsemanship business was put on hold a little bit.
yeah,
And then the three principles came into my life. And then COVID and all that sort of happened. There's a lots of sort of,
yeah,
again,
yeah,
like I say, this jigsaw that that um, kind of nudged me to look at, um, well, I mean, it's what I do. It's my work. So kind of went into different areas.
Well, it's kind of like we follow a path, and it's only when we look back that we can see that actually where that's kind of fit in, or
Yeah.
how it's led us to where we were.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time, you don't really see it, do you? And
No,
then,
no, it's just something new or exciting, isn't it? And you don't see how it's going to fit into the overall
mm,
picture. And sometimes we embark on things without actually really knowing. We just see it as something we're really interested in. We don't know how it's going to fit in. When I first started, I mean, again, with me, with the Reiki, I was at a very, very low point in my life when Reiki came to me. And again, it came as an email, like um, a publisher trying to push a book on me, a free book, download this book. Well, nah, nah. And that email just kept popping through like every other day, same email. And then I don't know, I was walking to work one day and I was just feeling really, really down. And I just had this like blinding flash of light and a huge voice that says, "You need to heal by the light." And I thought, God, I'm going insane as well as being depressed here. This is not good. And then I kind of got home and that email had come through again. I thought, oh, sod it, I'm just going to download this book because they keep sending. And it was Reiki, and it was a book all about Reiki. And I just sat and I read it in one sitting. Absolutely loved the whole idea of Reiki. Thought I have to learn this, and thought because the email had come from an American publisher, thinking, oh well, this guy isn't. I just loved the way this guy wrote and everything. And I found some videos of him online, and I loved the way he I just I just loved everything about the way he taught. And I thought, oh, he's going to be in America somewhere, isn't he? So I went and did a search for him and discovered like he lives about 5 miles up the road from me, and he runs all his places like
wow,
one bus, all his courses, one bus ride away from me.
how
And there was a
funny.
course in about 3 weeks after I read the book, so I signed up, and that was my journey with Reiki.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know where that was leading me. For me, it was just my own healing. But now I
Mm,
use it as,
mm.
it's a central part of my business. Um, So yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting, isn't it?
it is interesting. My daughter lives in Vancouver and she moved out there in 2015. Um, and I mean, she's a citizen now. So
Yeah,
she's built a life out there for herself. But I remember uh, the second time, when I came back to the three principles and I started reading Sid's books um and I was like, there was a school of the three principles, and I was like, oh my God, where is it? Of
mm.
course it's in Vancouver. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, you know, I mean, it could have been anywhere,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
And yeah, and it was in Vancouver. And I remember talking to my daughter and saying, I mean, I think I'd already been out to see her by then, and I was just like, you do know, it was on he actually lived not Vancouver Island, it's one of the other ones, Salt Spring Island, that's it. Um, but it's just, those little kind of, I don't know what you call them really, but those things that come along, synchronicity
yeah.
kind of thing.
Synchronicities, yeah.
And yeah, and I was like, oh, that's so weird. And I have actually now been to Salt Spring, and there's a bench in the park with his name on. So I went to sat on the bench.
And did you get any inspiration while sitting on the bench?
It's a lovely place. Yeah, I mean, I've got a picture of me and my daughter sat on the bench. But yeah, I mean, it has been, I don't know what, truly transformative,
Yeah.
and I I I really thought, I mean, I didn't the the journey continues, and I've done different trainings now with different people through who are kind of whose approach is through the three principles. Um, and I think, it's a funny thing to work with people up to start with as a coach, because a lot of people who um, are looking for coaching or that sort of thing are expecting you to give them things to do, strategies and techniques and tools and things. And sometimes it's quite hard uh, to share this, because people listen and they don't know what you're talking about. Just like
Well,
me.
I mean, yeah, I've explored it as well. It's quite a difficult concept to get,
Yeah,
like
but what's so interesting is it's difficult because we try and intellectualize it, you
yeah.
know. And what I love about it is that the work I do, and with with all of my work because I still work with people with horsemanship,
Mm,
and it doesn't matter, because everything in life is three principles. And once you see that, it's just so much simpler, and it's really just about what we're doing here, which is talking to
mm.
people and seeing something new about a situation. One of the loveliest things, I think, is, and it happens just in conversation with family and friends, when you kind of put a different, it's not even a different spin, you just ho- somebody says, you
Mm.
say something, and they come back and they go, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Or yes, or I never
You know,
thought about it that way, or whatever.
well,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it's
Mm,
like because it's all the learning comes through insight,
mm,
light bulb moments where you suddenly see something in a different way. And I think that's what I love, is because it's lazy. There's no effort required.
yeah. But one of the things that, taught me with it was, the fact that, to question your thoughts. as you said earlier, we don't have to believe all of our thoughts, you know. And for me, like for a long time, those thoughts they were just on repeat through my head. I didn't even notice that they were repetitive. And I do a lot of journaling as well. And that's one of the things I noticed when I was journaling is those repetitive thoughts. And so then I started to dive into those and dive into the beliefs behind them. But actually, then realized I don't even need to do that. I can just discard that thought altogether if I want to. I don't have to
Mm.
believe it. I don't have to run with it. I can just say, no, thank you. Not today.
And it's like most of our thinking is make believe, it's made up. But you keep thinking it and then it becomes a belief.
Yeah.
If you think you're not good enough at something and that thought keeps coming into your head and you keep thinking it, then it's like a fallback, it's like a default.
Yeah. And it's also, I think sometimes even it comes to things like, traveling, if you keep worrying about the trains being late or the train being cancelled, I think sometimes you can actually, in a way, kind of make that happen for yourself, or you can get yourself to a point where the train's not late, but you're late for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, I think every time I say that, I laugh. I, like our mind is what's helped to me is that I've separated myself from my mind. I don't think of it as being me in a way, which probably sounds very weird, but I see it now as a system. It works in a certain way,
Yeah.
in the same way that, you know, we have a respiratory system and our lungs breathe and our mind that it works in a system. And I so when you can, it's almost like you can step back and go, oh, it's just my mind, it's just doing its thing.
Yeah.
And I really have come to the conclusion that minds can be totally bonkers. Seriously. I mean, I'll give you an example. So this happened um 2 days ago. Yesterday? No, whenever. In fact, I was on my way to the doctor's for a blood test. That's right. And I came just through the village and I was slow to turn into the car park. And this little cat walked across the road in front of me. And I just watched and I was like, oh no, because I could see he was hurting. His back legs were just not supporting him. So I stopped my car, put my hazards on, stopped the traffic. Got out, and this poor little cat had kind of gone up into the hedge, but couldn't get through the hedge and was just mewing in the hedge.
Mm.
So, so basically, I picked it up and I'm kind of standing there holding this cat, going, "Oh God, I've got to go to the doctors and da da da." And I'd got my hand full of cats, so I couldn't open the car door. But anyway, long story short, the cat was taken to the vets and uh, had definitely been injured and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
and I got my doctor's appointment and everything else fine, and I put it on Facebook, and I think the cat has been reunited with its owner, although it has been injured somehow. But so I acted and sorted the situation out fairly well. But that night, I lay in bed and my mind was going through all these other scenarios that could have happened. And like totally, that didn't. Then I mean, it's just
Yeah.
making up all this stuff. And I'm laying in bed and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why am I thinking about what could have happened when it so didn't? You know, it's like already happened. It's not even what could happen in the future. I'm going over possible scenarios of what might have happened if I had done something different. And in fact, I got up and made a cup of tea because I was just like, well, this is just evidence that minds are bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, I've had similar experiences, and you just think, yeah, why? what is with that? I mean, I can't explain it.
No,
And
but it's great.
the
It's a
mind
good
needs to,
point to because it makes me smile and it makes me, one of my things is um, since I've been working with this understanding and teaching and everything else, what has happened is that my life has become a lot less serious, lighter,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
you know. That doesn't mean that I don't get stressed sometimes or fall out with my husband or, I'm perfectly
Yeah.
human. But when I get into those kind of pockets of discomfort and stress, I don't stay there
Mm,
very long,
yeah.
you know. Something I know now that and I know how I know how it works. So I know that when I'm feeling troubled and stressed, that's just my system telling me to press pause,
Yeah.
you
Slow
know.
down, take a rest or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
So um I've forgotten what I was going to say now, but uh yeah, I mean, I this idea that our mind we need to, think about it seriously is and intellectualize everything. When more than half of what goes through my mind for sure would be better off in my junk inbox.
Probably mine too. I mean, I mean, yeah, things like, put chocolate on the shopping list. Yeah, I can take that one. That's but some of the other stuff, yeah, it's kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but it's so interesting that, we've learned to not sit with it because you can sit with it and get really bogged down, can't you? And I think
Mm.
that's what leads to the kind of the low mood and all the anxiety because we can create all these scenarios for ourselves. Um, and it's wonderful if you're a writer and you have a wonderful imagination. That's really
Yeah.
useful. But for most of our everyday lives, those imaginary scenarios are not in the least bit useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish up?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea how we've done. Have we been talking for a long time? It's been lovely
Quite a while.
just having a conversation with you. So I've really enjoyed it. So I must
Thank
just
you.
let you know
Yeah.
that.
As I said, I mean, most of these are just conversations that come
Yeah.
out.
No, it's lovely.
It's been really lovely talking to you. If anybody wants to catch up with Sharon and learn more about the three principles and Sydney Banks, I will have her details below. She does have a website and you are on
Yeah.
Facebook, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, I have a website. I have some free resources on there and things. I'm also on something called Insight Timer, if anyone, and so
Okay,
there's
yeah.
some free resources on there. Um, and yeah, oh, and my newsletter, which is, a life less serious. What else?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sharon. Um, and good luck with your thinking.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for asking me. It's been really good. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for listening. And I will see you on the next episode.